Hello Summoners, my name is Zyrene and welcome to another ProGuides video. Over the years since League of Legends start, Riot has gotten better at making champs with unique kits. However, even with 200 collective years of experience, the design team doesn't always get it right the first time, or the second, or third. Today's question of the day is, what champ release do you think is the most broken? Let us know your answers in the comments below. Also, before we get started with the video, make sure to join our Discord so you can be a part of our ever-expanding community. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started. To begin our list, we'll start by taking a look at a champ so strong that not even turrets could save you. AKALI's rework left her with the ability to obscure herself with her shroud, meaning that even with true sight, you would only see her position while AKALI herself remained untargetable, even when she was under your turret. This would lead to skilled AKALI players harassing and sometimes even diving their opponents under their turrets when they tried to concede lane and safely farm. With the practically bottomless sustain from her Q and a mini stun on her ultimate, AKALI was an assassin that outlaned most champions in the meta, could win duels against even champions like Jax in the side lane, and thanks to her untargetability, she was practically unkillable in teamfights, making her an actual 1v9 machine. With each major nerf, people thought her reign was over, but it was over a year of nerfs and power adjustments until AKALI was brought to where she is now, in a much healthier, situational state. Let me ask you a question. What if a champion could get free summoner spell teleports and a 3400 gold item at level 2? After her release, laning against ZHAO felt like a game of roulette, with awful odds. At best, you were laning against a champion with already decent harass that could pick up a free blue smite or exhaust. And at worst, she could get a Hextech Gunblade as early as level 2, and just go for an all-in. Other times, ZHAO would pick up a free teleport from a minion, giving her the ability to take a reset and come back to lane with an item and health advantage. Her Q used to also apply her passive to all targets hit, so her wave clear and trading on minion waves was unmatched, and even missing her bubble was rewarded with a reduced cooldown if she at least hit a minion. Her ability to win lane based off RNG, coupled with her overtuned abilities resulting in one-shotting people with just 1 or 2 complete items, making ZHAO the best mid laner of Season 8. While the first 2 entries were a bit more recent, our next entry takes place in League's beta days, when Twisted Fate had an ultimate ability on his E. Before Riot moved his E to his ultimate, Twisted Fate was able to influence the rest of the map as early as he wanted, with Gate, a low cooldown global teleport. Imagine overextending and being ganked as early as level 2. In lane, you could win a trade against Twisted Fate, and he could just recall back to base for a free reset and use his free teleport back to lane like it never happened. If the global presence pre-6 wasn't strong enough, Twisted Fate's old yellow card was an undodgeable AoE stun, basically combining his current yellow and red cards, while his blue card used to reset his pick-a-card's cooldown, resulting in an infinite loop of cards and Lichbane procs to shred towers. His kit was rounded out by the other half of his current ultimate, revealing the enemy team and slowing them for a few seconds. The ability to globally gank lanes, shove multiple lanes at a time, and having an unavoidable AoE stun meant that this iteration of Twisted Fate was universally banned in competitive games at the time. Now, imagine a bruiser so oppressive that you can't even attack her back. Aurelia's rework made her so broken that a hotfix had to be shipped the next day with massive nerfs to her numbers across the board. The most oppressive part of her relaunch was the 2-second disarm and slow on her ultimate. This meant if you relied on auto attacks, you were not only unable to fight back, but also couldn't escape her as she chased you down, making her almost unmatched when split pushing in a side lane. While dueling her seemed impossible, teamfighting against her wasn't much better either, with her ultimate having a large area of effect and her stun potentially spanning an entire enemy team. She was more than okay with a 5v5 setting. The ability to reduce all incoming damage even when CC'd and wait for cooldowns to come back up meant that even locking Aurelia down wasn't quite enough to stop her from cutting down an entire enemy team. These have been some pretty crazy champions, and even with them being reined in, there are always shiny new champions to replace them as the OPs. Can you tell what's OP before others catch on? Do you know how to use these OP champions to your advantage and climb the ranks? At ProGuides, we have the latest tier lists, thorough guides written by analysts, pros, and your favorite streamers, and a team of coaches available 24/7, ready to help you get started instantly. Be sure to click the link in the description below to learn how we can help you reach your peak. Now, let's get back to that list. On the simpler side of things, GALIO's post-rework update saw him become a one-shotting machine, The initial goal for GALIO's rework was for him to be more focused on his anti-magic tanking abilities, but his mini update pushed for full AP GALIO players to be rewarded for their aggressive plays. The result was a Colossus capable of comboing and deleting multiple enemies at a time, with a fed GALIO being able to one-shot carries with as little as 1 or 2 abilities. These crazy high AP ratios and semi-global presence resulted in many montages of people dying before being able to even react with a flash. The Juggernaut class update aimed to redefine and breathe some life into a few champions that struggled to find balance in League's modern day. A product of this update, MORDEKAISER became the second most banned champion at 2015 Worlds, with his iconic ultimate being buffed to include Dragon as an enslavable target that he could control to do his bidding. And when playing bottom lane, he got full experience as long as he was the one last hitting minions, leading to a naturally building level lead. While he was relatively immobile on his own, the movement speed he got towards allies meant that when he was paired with a strong engage support with lockdown, like Leona or Thresh, his all-in potential was incredible in lane. Even though he was melee, he had strong pushing power and sustain from his W, good all-in strength, and when MORDEKAISER was played well, he had no counters in lane. The best thing that MORDEKAISER could do with his ramping lead was secure a dragon. If Mord dealt damage to a dragon and his team claimed it, he would summon it as a minion, which he could send anywhere on the map, enabling him to siege any tower on the map regardless of where MORDEKAISER himself went. This meant his entire team could 5-man mid with the dragon to force down a turret, or alternatively, he could go back bot to farm, but send Dragon across the map to help his top laner whittle away at their lane. Once he reached the teamfighting stage of the game, MORDEKAISER's main focus was to secure an ultimate on a hard-hitting auto-attack based champion, claiming their soul and turning the game into a 4v6. So far, we've covered some incredibly broken champions, but could a marksman, which many people claim to be the weakest role, ever be on a list like this? Could an ADC ever have an ability that could one-shot an entire enemy team? When Riot released APHELIOS, he was introduced as a champion for the 200 IQ player, with 5 different weapons being wielded 2 at a time. His design was intended to be a champion with meaningful choices to cover different situations, but instead, the result was a champion so overloaded that he had the range to contest even Caitlyn, healing to sustain through any amount of harass, and an auto attack that could slow and root his opponents, while having insane AoE for wave clearing and wiping out enemy teams, and even a turret to control entire zones around objectives. Aside from his auto attacks and basic abilities, APHELIOS' ultimate was supposed to be used in different situations depending on what he needed. But what was quickly discovered was that ulting with Infernum equipped was just incredibly overpowered. Hitting enemies that made the mistake of clumping up would result in an almost instant ace, with even the beefier bruisers and tanks not being safe from the resulting explosion. With a ban rate of over 200% in Korean solo queue with his initial release, he has been nerfed again and again and again, and still maintains a spot in the A to S tier amongst marksmen. Don't ask me how his ban rate's above over 200%, I don't know, it's just what's in the script, and apparently it's what's in the stats as well. Not only are Korean players better at the game, they're better at banning out OP champions. In modern day League, Ryze is considered a hard-scaling mage that needs time to come online. But in his Season 5 rework, he was given the ability to permanently root and kill his lane opponent before even going back for a tier. The core of this rendition of Ryze was his passive, which made it so that when he was supercharged, his abilities reset each other's cooldowns. The goal here was for Ryze to have a high skill ceiling, making it so the order he cast his abilities in would result in won or lost trades. But the result was anything but skill-based. As early as level 3, Ryze could stack his passive and flash on his opponent, rooting them over and over and over, resulting in them dying before they could even retreat to safety. Even in pro play, he was underestimated, and Who Needs Ryze famously solo killed Steve's Maokai twice in lane without a single completed item.
Exactly the same expression as I did just now. What the hell just happened?
The second juggernaut on this list is the reworked SKARNER, which birthed what is considered the highest day 1 win rate since Summoner's Rift was opened. His update on 5.16 left him with a staggering 64% win rate, with that already high percentage going up to an insane 73% win rate in games that ended before 25 minutes. Many factors played into these obscene statistics. His kit, being nearly identical in gameplay to what it is today, was extremely easy to use. SKARNER was incredibly safe early game with a moderately paced, extremely healthy jungle clear, with the ability to win duels against any invader if fighting on his spires. Thanks to the attack speed and mana from his Spires and his spammable Q, his damage was pretty good for a tank. His abilities combined layer after layer of crowd control, with his E granting him an AoE slow and stun on auto attacks, and his iconic Impale allowing him to drag priority targets back to his team. The movement speed from his Spires, as well as additional movement speed and tankiness from his W, combined with his multitudes of CC, decent damage, and ease of execution to make him the best teamfighting tank League has ever known. And in a meta where overall damage was much lower than it is today, he earned the spot of highest win rate champion of all time. So far, we've covered insane champions with kits so crazy, so jam-packed with mechanics that opponents couldn't deal with them. But what about League's first real stat check? A champion so strong that Riot had to release one of their first hot fixes within a week of his release. The last spot on this list goes to the infamous release of ZHAO. Though his kit looked similar to where it is today, with his 3-hit knockup, charge, and sweeping ultimate, his numbers were what put him over the top. With high base stats, abilities that massively buffed him and reset each other, and an ultimate that hit so hard that the only counter in the game was for an entire enemy team to buy Thorn Mails in the hope that he would one-shot himself. Xin was possibly the strongest fighter in all of League of Legends history, with one commenter even claiming once he reached level 6, you couldn't be on the same screen as him. While he didn't have the power crept kit that many new champions do today, he has been compared to a stronger rendition of current ZHAO with Earth cooldowns. Imagine dueling with that in a regular game of Summoner's Rift. And that wraps it up for our list of the most broken champions of all time. Do you guys agree with it? Do you think we missed anything? Make sure to let us know if you missed anything in the comments below by answering our question of the day. I think that release Zyra and Diana are not on this list, and they were both extremely powerful, but I'm not sure if they knock anybody off this list. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please leave a like and sub to our channel to be notified of our next video. Make sure to check out our website for in-depth content and guides that were made by your favorite pro players. Thanks for watching, and good luck on the Rift.